Hello, good morning. Let's see. I found the settings for moderating the channel, uh, and I'm just going to find like what the hell did this bot talk about? Let's see, my videos. What the hell? No, this isn't it. Oh, god damn it. Where did I go to my videos? My videos. Why does it pop up like this? Okay, anyways, I guess was this number. How do I get to the actual? Ah, god damn it! Why is it so difficult? Using React states. That's live now. Where's the other ones? Oh, god damn it! Architecture. There we go. Are we on 4 now? Where's number 3? There it is. Cool. And if we go to the end, here we are. You thought you can get this is so well, hack, we can't have hack because we do hack. You wanna have a bad time? Now it's time for you to die. Okay, I'm not sure. Like, I only picked up on like bitch. That's not very nice, is it? I guess we can pick up die, but does this really help? Like, yeah, it's just like blocking a single word, right? Yeah, I don't know. Okay, let's add bitch there. Oh, it's so ridiculous. I just wonder why. What's the motivating factor of like trolling and creating bots and stuff? There must be some sense of accomplishment there. Like there has to be. But is it tied to like? Is there a real understanding that? Is it the same thing as like when you're a child and you see someone building like a Lego tower or something and you go over there and you kind of shove it over, which basically is a reaction, like immature reaction to I want to play with you, but I don't know how to ask or like join, so I'll go ruin it for you. I wonder if it's the same psychology. It's like trolling, and is it the same thing? You go and you shove the Lego tower that someone's building because you really want to be like, you're immaturely reacting to wanting to be part of something, and then you, yeah, for different reasons you're not able to do that, so you kind of, I don't know. Where are we? Yes, we were, let's see, this is work stuff, family scrum. Where the hell were we? Did we finish interface? We were subscribing. Yeah, I think we were done with the interface. Coffee. Yes. I think we were ready to build our first feature. Where is my Excalibur draw? This is some other stuff. Oh, I have too much open. Where's our app? Oh, there we are. Okay, so maybe we should just start with this page. Or we can like create the dashboard. I don't know if I like admin. It's like family dashboard. Family member. Well, this doesn't harmonize. Like, what is this? Is it like admin, or is it admin is so technical? My dashboard. Yeah. Family dashboard, my dashboard. And this would be family, and this would be me. Okay, so let's add those 2 rounds, and then maybe we can even start the development server this time. That's nice. Oh. Oh, already in use. Yeah, I'm working on something. There we go. Yeah. It's so cool that Tobias, the creator of Webpack, has actually joined Vercel and is working on Next.js. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yes, and there we have the wonderful app. And what we're going to do, we're going to add a couple of pages. We're going, well, the index page, we have to choose some colors and stuff. Let's try to close everything here. Can I do like close everything but close other tabs? Let's just do it. Well, I need this one because I have, no, I can do that next week. Okay, let's just close other tabs. Yeah, hopefully I didn't ruin my stream. I had experiences when I quit, like I have to have this open for some reason. And we need Tailwind CSS because we need to look at the colors. Customizing colors. There we have them. Cool. So let's start. Yeah, let's just have like a gray background. Oh. Okay. 100. Was it gray? Oh my god. This is going to take forever. I thought it was supposed to help me. Anyways. Let's call it home. And let's try to center this thing. Flex center. Is there some kind of flex? How do I center stuff? Justify items. Can I just do flex? Is that one? Yeah, flex is one, and then flex just. Wow, I really hate this. Oh my god, this IntelliSense is. Oh wow, it's really bad. How the hell did I flex to center? Oh my god, I have a feeling I'm going to spend a lot of time. So this is grid? Is it because I want me to use grid instead? I don't want to spend time on building the UI. It's such, like, it's not interesting to me. Like, I just want to build a freaking app. But I want it to look somewhat good. But I'm going to get stuck in trying to figure out all this styling stuff. And I don't want, that's not like good stream content, me just looking at Tailwind CSS documentation. It's not good streaming looking at me well, maybe it is yelling at CSS rules. But like this is supposed to be about building applications, not building UIs. Like items, align items, items center. Is this it? Flex, align, item. Oh, what the fuck was it? Item center. What about align content and then content center? Is this how we do it? Yeah. And then why isn't it center? Oh, it's not align content, it's justify? Where's justify? Oh, so it's just justify. Item center, justify center. Does that work? There we go. Now it's center. Okay. Hopefully I'll move way faster on this as we move on. So we need to have, what was it? Family dashboard. Dashboard. And this is going to be like a card. So I guess like we can, well, we should have the same here. Like 200 width, I guess, I don't know, 6, height 6, padding 2. I don't know, how does this look? Wow, that looked like shit. Yeah, let's just use padding for this. Family dashboard radius, is it? Oh, what's border radius? Oh. Oh yeah, rounded. It's so annoying that it doesn't pop up again, the IntelliSense. It's insanely annoying. Okay, and then like I guess you have like shadows and stuff. Yeah, this is cool. Shadow MD. Yeah, I guess I just have to get used to this. Of course, this looks like size. Do we have like what's font? God damn. Oh yeah, text. I kind of have to remove the whole. I have to kind of go back here and then, and if I mess up, it's not there anymore. Wow, this is so annoying. Family dashboard, and then we need another one, and we can extract it into its own like button thing. And let's text like label is a string. Oh yeah, no, we of course we use children. React node. Okay, so we have that button. We should have margins on it as well. Let's put some margins. Okay, this is at least something. This should probably be an actual button though. And then, yeah, that's cool. I don't have to do anything more about this right now. How do I do like text bold? bold, font bold. Oh, font bold. Like, this is not about Tailwind giving bad names. This is about me having to learn it. But it's what's it, color? Gray 800. Doesn't this text color, text gray, text gray, there we go. About me learning them, but yeah, the IntelliSense is really quite shitty. Like, I can't imagine anyone. This is what's so funny to me, like trying something, maybe there's something wrong in the environment there, I have no idea, but it's so funny to me when really popular tools, and then I try it and then I instantly have a bad experience with it. And then it's like, am I doing something wrong, or am I misunderstanding something? Anyways, cool. Okay, so we can, well, this should actually be links. Href would be string. Href would be href. Href here would be family. Href here would be me. Cool. That's nice. That's really nice about Tailwind. Like, it doesn't matter what kind of element I put in there, they look exactly the same. That's really nice. You don't have to reset all the elements all the time. Okay, so let's add. So we have index, and then we have, how did you add pages to? You just add it as files, right? So we have family tsx, and then we have me tsx. No button here. What's this, family? Let's just do family, and then me, me. Okay, cool. So what happens now? I go here. It says family, which is nice. Isn't it supposed to be instant? Why is it like loading? Is this how it's supposed to work? Next.js links. Oh, should it be? It needs to be a, yeah, next link. Okay. I remember now. I remember. Because that has a magical There we go. Okay, it should be better now, I think. There we go. Cool. Nifty. So what should we focus on? Excalibur. What should we focus on first? Since we have a bunch of fake data, yeah, we were talking about this thing. Let's implement this thing first. Okay, so we need our dashboard feature. So we can start with that now. Let's see. Features, new file, or let's put it in a folder. Dashboard feature. And then we have an index file for that one. And let's set up the basics. So what do we need? We need transitions. We need a transitions reducer. type. We will need exec. Cool. And let's start talking about it's always good to start with the context. So this would be the dashboard context, and that has different states. So we talked about having a state where it's actually like we want you to be able to go directly to this thing. Like this is actually what you see instantly. But it's actually it represents two different states. The first state is when it's actually authenticating. Then it moves into loading if you're authenticated. And that should look exactly the same. But like under the hood, it's actually two different states. So pending validation, authentication, like that. Or it can be in a loading state, or it can be loaded. And when it's loaded, we actually have the data we need. So loaded would mean we have, well, this is interesting. I don't think actually we want to have, oh, this is interesting. Maybe we only want pending validation. No, not validation, authentication. Because we really want this shopping list and the week plan to be two different features, which means that like they will load up individually. So basically we only have two states here. That's interesting. Oh, did I completely overcomplicate this? Because this is actually, yeah, the skeleton is when you are, well, it depends. What do I want? Do I want, okay, but this is a question. Like this is related to user experience. Do I want a single dashboard feature which has the groceries and the week plans? Or do I want to have a separate feature for the groceries and a separate feature for the week plan? I think, well, the thing that's a little bit not tricky, but what to think about here is that in terms of UI, they actually overlap each other. So you see, you can be on groceries and you have the week plan there. Not that it really matters, but yeah. How should we do this? Because the thing is, if we don't actually have a single dashboard feature, it means that this indicator here well, what it really means, so what it really means is that, okay, we don't have a single dashboard, but we do have like the groceries and we have the week plan, but they should still have a pending authentication. Because as I talked about, like moving from authenticating into a loading state nothing should happen in the UI. It should look exactly the same. Because there might be some animations going on and you don't want those to jank, because suddenly you insert like a context provider in between the components and stuff. That's really interesting how non-UI components actually can affect the UI in terms of animations and stuff like that. Anyways, okay, I think we're going to do that. Let's start with the week plan, because this is just a simple presentation. There's no interaction there. So we're going to do that. So let's change this, rename into week. Well, how should we call this? I guess we should call it dashboard week plan feature. Oh, that was a long name. Well, that's the name. Dashboard week plan. Okay, cool. And this is waiting for authentication. Then it moves into loading, and then it moves into loaded. And it doesn't really have any other like a working state, because it's just for reading, right? But we might have an issue with. Oh, this is also interesting. So if we don't have, oh my god. So what if you're not authenticated, like you don't have access? Who's responsible for showing the sign in? Who is responsible for showing the sign-in? Now, because now we have two different features. Who's waiting for authentication and might move into a not authenticated. Yeah, we're doing something wrong here. We do want this overlapping like dashboard thing, because that should be responsible for showing the sign-in model if you're not signed in. And that means well, what we could do, let's move back to the, where did I have my, there we had it. So what we could do is, so we have a dashboard feature, it doesn't use this stuff. Do we even need it to be a feature? Okay, we don't even need it to be a feature. So if we have like a dashboard here, and we use the authentication, use auth, and what we're going to do is that we're going to return not the skeleton, but we're going to return the actual dashboard here. Well, we don't have to say dashboard. We can actually like say, let's return like this. So we would have the groceries feature, like we could call it dashboard layout or something. Doesn't matter. Oops. And we have the groceries feature, and then we have like the actual groceries. Wow, I've not made this easy for myself, that's for sure. Wow, this got way more complicated than I thought it would be. I'm feeling uncomfortable with all the thinking I have to do. Because for this thing to have access to the actual groceries data, it needs to be like, the feature has to cover both of these parts of the UI. So this is the issue I have with React, is that the UI affects the way you structure your state. And that's relieving with something like Overmind or whatever, is that you don't have that tied together. But at the same time, you don't get the benefits of the UI being tied to the state, which means like when you change the UI, it automatically disposes of what it's using from the state. and any side effects related to that, and so on and so on. You kind of manually have to like dispose of things that the UI is and is not using if you have Overmind or something like that, which is really, really hard to do. Like it's super, super difficult. So now I'm starting to think that this would be way easier if we just have a single dashboard that loads up the groceries and the week plan, and that's it. And this is going to be like super fast anyway. So like having these to individually load doesn't really give any value. Yeah, I think we need to move back on that. So we'll have our dashboard layout. Sorry, our dashboard feature. And then we have like the actual like dashboard, which would be like shopping list and week plan. Oh, we have to name this like dashboard shopping list. Maybe we should actually insert the components behind the pages. Yeah, this is interesting. And then we could like, the reason I'm using the features folder is to make the features reusable across different pages. Yeah, because you have to be like super, super explicit. Maybe we should go with like the feature approach. Yeah, let's try that just to explore it. So we have like family. And I think this just works. Like new folder, me. Because that means we can insert the we can just call it like dashboard feature. New folder, dashboard feature. Yeah, it's tricky. Like when you do this feature organization of your files and folders, it often becomes very nested. Like how nested should it be? So you could say that the dashboard feature, yeah, let's just do this. Then let's remove this. Does this still work? It does. Amazing. Pages family, it has a dashboard feature. That's where we're going to build the thing. And then where did we go? Yes, we're talking about this. So we have a dashboard feature. We'll have a shopping list. Now we don't have to be so freaking and then week plan. And the thing is, now we have this dashboard feature. The thing is like, what state is this dashboard feature running in? So what we could do is, this is interesting. So it always starts in pending authentication, right? But we could have a property on it related to like do we actually need that? I guess now that I don't split them up, we can do what we intended to do. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going back and forward on things, and I'm not like agreeing with how I want to do this. Because we have this dashboard, but which basically just consumes the authentication, and then based on that authentication, we render out. So this would be like authenticating, but we would render out the same thing no matter. Yeah, I just find this fascinating. Like, I think the original idea was the right one. It's just that I got stuck in, maybe we can split the feature up into two, because then we can load a little bit here, load a little bit there. But that doesn't really give any value, and it complicates things, because part of the UI of shopping list is also part of the week plan UI. So that adds a complexity. And then a third complexity is like, okay, but you might not be authenticated. So if we have two different features and both of them are waiting for authentication, which one of them should be responsible for showing the sign-in model? So just co-locating them inside the dashboard feature will do as we originally planned, which is basically the dashboard feature will use the authentication to give the dashboard a specific state related to authentication, which is pending authentication, and then as we talked about, like not authenticated, which will show the sign-in model. And what this allows us to do is that the React component structure will always be the same, meaning the skeleton will move fluently from authenticating when we're authenticating into a loading state, and so on and so on. I guess one thing that is not ideal with this, that we have to take into account, is that it doesn't matter what's updating now. Every time like a single task is updating, or you update the shopping list, that is handled inside one single context provider, like the dashboard feature, which updates the state, and then everything using the dashboard feature will have to reconcile again, which is not ideal. And that's basically the shopping list and the week plan will reconcile again. But the thing is, like, we're going to pass, and this is the tricky thing, when you use a pure React architecture, you really have to understand React. Like, you really have to understand reconciliation so that you get an optimized UI. So we don't want like every single weekday here to like use the feature directly. We really want just the week plan to use the feature, and that kind of extracts the what's it called, the data, and it passes that down to a React memo component. So even though the week plan itself will react whenever we deal with the shopping list, like, there's really no reconciliation there going on. It's just seeing that, the week plan hasn't changed, and then nothing else happens. But yeah, this is the stuff you have to understand if you're going to use an architecture like this. It puts a lot, but this is the same like with Redux. You really have to understand this as well. Just using React and value comparison and reconciliation is such a mind load. Like using Overmind or MobX or Vue, you don't have to think about that at all, because it automatically understands what you're looking at. which is definitely relieving. Yeah, and I can completely understand why people use Vue instead of React. Anyways, so like one of the good things about, like if you compare like immutability or like value comparison that React depends on with Vue, which has this mutable nature, like you can just change things. If Vue would never come up with a reducer, because they don't need it, you can just mutate, right? So they would never come up with the reducer, and that will not lead to the pattern of state machines, because a state machine is a reducer. Like you can send an event in, it needs to return a new state. So you wouldn't have, like, how do you, yeah, so this is really interesting. Like, how do you mutative change a context? Where are we? For example, here. So we have this dashboard weak plan context. What if this is just an object, like context? What if you want to move? Why is it not yelling at me on this? That's weird. What if you want to move from pending authentication to loading, and you're going to do it in a mutative way? Well, you could do context state equals loading. Why is this not? Oh, sorry. I had this. Yeah, exactly. So you get, like, you can't do it. Like, it doesn't make any sense. You actually have to change the whole object, and maybe that's okay. Oh, sorry. And then we would have to make this a let. The point is, you have to change the whole context object every time you transition between states. And this is what's so natural to do with a reducer, but it's not that natural in Vue, because in Vue you just mutate. But yeah, so you would have to, every time you change something on the context, you basically have to change the whole object. You can't just change the state, right? Because that might give an invalid context. Anyways, that's perfectly fine, really. But I'm just saying that pattern wouldn't naturally evolve from Vue and its way of doing things, but it does naturally evolve from React and its like value comparison pure approach. That's what I meant to say. Anyways, it feels like I'm postponing a decision on the on how we're going to deal with this. But yes, let's iterate. So what we can do, we can have this dashboard feature. It uses the authentication. It has a specific, it has these states. It's waiting for authentication. It might go into a not authenticated state, which will force us to show the sign-in model. Or it might move into a loading state, which means we're authenticated, but like the UI doesn't change on this. It's the exact same UI, so it just keeps the skeleton. And then when it's loaded, we actually do show all the data. The challenge, as we talked about, is when we have this single feature dealing with all the state, we have to be a little bit careful when we build the UI and the components and use React Memo, so that we avoid like changing the shopping list will result in the weak plan rendering, for example. It's really interesting that there is this concept of use context selector. This is going to be very interesting. I'm not sure. Is this a person who's like freelance programmer? Yeah, I'm not sure. It's really to solve. What's this? Speculative? Oh. It's a feature where if React builds out of update, clone child for instance. Okay. Okay. Anyways, the concept is that you can use something called use context selector. So it basically works like, do we have a comparison there? Anyways, the point is that here we are pointing to a specific value on the context, and then whenever the context updates, it does a check on this thing. And if that it actually has changed, then this component will actually reconcile again. So that will be like perfect for our use case, where the week plan would use context selector on the dashboard feature and only extract changes on the week plan itself. So then we didn't have to like create a React memo around it. That itself would be a memoization thing. But this is like, I have no idea about this. Like this, it has a bunch of stars, but like it depends on something. I don't know the state of this. Yeah, it's interesting. I wish there was a better way to do this. I have this feeling that there is a different way of doing this. Maybe that's something we could put into React states. What if you could, what if our hook, like we have a feature hook now. What if that hook could, like it didn't just consume the context. Oh wait, that won't work, because as soon as it consumes the context, well, what if it didn't directly consume the okay, we have to explore this. Sorry, I'm diverging. But the thing is, we have this thing called create transitions reducer hook. And this is the hook, right? It uses the context. And this is just related to consuming it in a specific state. But what if you didn't actually expose the reducer directly? You would rather expose a way to like the value would never change. So what I'm saying is that if you have a feature and then you have the actual like feature equals use reducer transition, or sorry, reducer, and then you have like the initial state. And typically now we do like return provider, oh sorry, context provider value feature. This is how it works now. What would be possible to do here is we could do something like use what should we call it? Use selector, whatever, use feature. Let's just call it something. Now it might seem weird that I'm using a hook here, but this is totally valid because it's just about the order the hooks are being called. And what this use feature would be, it would be use feature. It would take a feature, which is basically like it's an array of like a state and dispatch, or like context and send that we were using. And what it would do is that it would rather return, like we would create a memoize thing. So we would return use memo. So it never changes. It's the same object every single time. how would this work? How would we get the updated? Oh, sorry, not return use memo, but we would create like an API. I think. No, wait, not use memo, but use ref. Sorry about this. We would use a ref. And this would be current feature. Use ref. Let's just call it ref. How would this work like? And then we would, we would actually return, yeah, this is it. We would return use memo. This would hold an API. So this would never change. It will always be the same object return here, which means that the context provider will never update. And what you would do instead, you would consume an API of value would be ref current. And what we would do here is that wow, that's annoying. Okay, I'm a little bit unsure how this will be implemented. Because basically what this API would be like subscribe. And you would have the possibility to, I guess you would do this value. Subscribers. So when you would subscribe here, you would get a callback. You would say ref current subscribers push, and you would of course return a disposer, new length. Well, we wouldn't do this, but we would do subscribers splice index of the callback. Like that. That will remove the subscription. And the point is, every time this updates, we want to update this ref. And we want to call the subscribers. That's what we want to do. And the way we would need to do that is to use an effect. So whenever the feature, well, I guess we can just do this. Every time the feature changes, we go through the current subscribers. Well, first of all, we will change the current value to the new feature. Then we will go through the subscribers and we will call it with the new feature, which means that they would actually update on their end. And then the nice thing is this subscription callback is not just how will that work? Because now we have, okay, so the way this would work, like to actually so this is like sorry if this is not making any sense. This is the thing that use not use feature, but use subscriptions. Okay, this is what it's doing. Use subscriptions, and then you would have use feature. And the way this works is that it grabs the context, like the context of the feature context, and that happens to be the thing that's being returned here, like subscriptions context. Well, I guess it is the feature context, but this would be like the subscription stuff, and then it would return context value. But what we would also do, we would use an effect, and we would say context.subscribe. Yeah, this gets really complicated. So the point is, this would never update, right? What we're rather doing is that we have, yeah, so what we would do is value is useState context.value. And then whenever we subscribe, we will just set the feature like this. And this never changes either. Wow, it's so fucking annoying. Someone's using a chainsaw outside, and we have a baby who's sleeping outside. Perfect. Anyways, so the way this, okay, so let me go through this. So when you create your feature, instead of exposing the feature as a reducer, meaning that everyone consuming this feature will update, we call this use subscriptions on the feature. And the way this is implemented is that it holds a reference to the current feature value and a set of subscribers. And whenever the feature changes, meaning that the state changes or the context changes, it will change out the value and it will notify all subscribers. And then what's actually being exposed on the context is the same object every time, meaning that the context provider will never make any components update. It also references to the current value on this internal reference, and it has a subscribe, which basically adds a callback to the subscribers and returns a disposer. Cool, so now we have a mechanism for subscription, and then you actually have the use feature. So this would be the use transitions create transitions reducer hook. This would be that thing. The way this works is that it uses the feature context, which is basically the let's call it subscriptions context. It would use this thing, and it has an internal state, so we kind of put the responsibility of reconciling in the component that actually uses the feature. So we have use state here. It has the value, like current. We could even call it feature. Let's call it feature. So it holds the current feature, and then we create a use effect, so that and a subscription. So whenever the subscription updates, it sets the feature again. And the thing is that will cause a new render, because the only way the subscription changes is if the feature has changed, and it just kind of trickles down. Now the thing we're able to do now, like this doesn't really change anything. Now all the components will reconcile again whenever the feature changes. But we can actually pass in a callback here to the component consuming the feature. So we can have a selector. Here we can insert a selector. And the way this would work is when it's subscribing, we get like a new feature here. Remember, this is the actual array that holds both the context, and so maybe we could do like context send here instead. And then we could actually, yeah, so this means we actually do need to resubscribe every time. Yes, because we need to compare it to the latest. Yeah, okay, sorry about that. So that means that now we have the existing. This is a little bit confusing. Let's call it new feature, so it won't be so confusing. So this subscription will always now have a reference to the current feature that is being consumed, and then it's notified every time there's a new feature. So what we can do is if selector, and we pass in if selector new feature is not equal, well, equals selector feature. So we will only pass the context here, so we can do this. Oh my fucking god, that fucking neighbor. So fucking annoying. So what we could do here is, if these are the same, we don't do anything. But if they have changed, we actually set the new feature. And that would effectively, now we have a selector. Which means that what this would actually result in is, in our situation now, we have like a week plan, right? And what this results in is that now we're able to, we can do week plan, we'll get the week plan, and we still get the send, but we can say use dashboard, and then we will get the context here. Let's see, we would use the dashboard in a loaded state. Oh yeah, fuck, this is also. This would have to work differently. You do get the full context dashboard. You always get the full. Yeah, this is interesting. So we say use dashboard, but we rather pass a callback. Oh yeah, wait, this doesn't really work, does it, for us? Because we want this week plan to consume any state. Well, oh, sorry. How would this be? So I'm just thinking about the skeleton. So in this sense, we actually would want to consume the full thing. But let's, okay, so this is the, how should we do this to make this obvious? So this is like, oh my fucking god, that fucking neighbor. I'm going crazy. I can't think. Dashboard. So this is like the whole thing. I guess we'll actually end up with the same thing here. So you have a week plan, and then you have like return like week, and we could do like, yeah, this is a little bit silly. Like in this case, we are actually ending up with the same thing in terms of like, so what we would have to do here, I'm a little bit pseudo coding, but you would kind of do dashboard week, right? And then week would be a React memo component. But what we could do instead is not pass this down. We just pass down week, and then inside week, we would be able to say week plan send equals use dashboard context, and then we would have to, yeah, like we could match the context on this is interesting. So when the context is like loading, we would not return anything, and if it's loaded, we would return the week or the week plan. Yeah, maybe this isn't really helping in any way. Like you should just rely on the props passing of React. Yeah, I wonder how this pans out. Like this concept of a feature, it might actually deal with this, because you wouldn't have like one giant feature doing everything on a page. You would split it up into multiple features. In this case, we have two things on like the same level. So that means they should be within the same feature, but it also means like the props passing won't be that bad. But if we had like a menu here, where we had different sections here, for example, like you would create one feature per section if this was a menu, which again means like you wouldn't have this big feature with all the data in one thing behind every item here in the menu. You wouldn't have the state part of a single feature. You would put that inside like each sub page, which also deals with that. And if you had like a complex thing within a page, for example, you would have a model for adding, so for example here, you have add grocery. Yeah, so if you imagine that being like a model within a sub page, you would probably, would you do that? Wow, this, oh my God, my brain is hurting on this. This is the thing I'm wondering about. How is it actually like managing the state? So you can say that, okay, the tricky thing about add grocery is that it actually manipulates the state of the groceries, which is part of the dashboard. Which means that, what does that mean? Well, what does that actually mean? So in this case, so if we have this thing open, and this would actually use the dashboard to access the state of the groceries, it would reconcile. Or it would have to deal with the states of not being... Well, I guess that's correct. Like one thing is here, like not being authenticated and having the skeleton. But if this thing uses the dashboard, like add grocery uses the dashboard directly, it would also have to deal with that state, which is a good thing, right? Because you might get unauthenticated when you are in this state. So it's a good thing that this needs to deal with it. But what I mean is like, what if this is menus? These are menu items, and you have like a sub page behind every menu item, and then they kind of share some state across multiple menu items, and you basically just want to I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking way ahead, way beyond what we're doing here, and maybe that's not wise to do. But anyways, what I wanted to show you here, what would be possible is that you could say use dashboard, you could say and you will get context, and you could say like well, for simplicity's sake, you could say context state equals loaded and context.weak plan or null, for example. Yeah, but that's kind of a tricky thing as well, because now you have weak plan here, but it might be null. So you still have to check. And then you could say, okay, no, I want to consume it in the loading state. And then, well, oh, maybe that isn't that bad. Oh, wait, this isn't so bad. Yeah, exactly. So you're saying I'm using the dashboard in a loading state. This context, like this callback, is only run when you're actually in the loaded state, and then you can choose something, the specific state. Yeah, this is good. This is what I meant. But that's, I guess that's kind of the silly thing here, is that I don't want to consume it specifically in a loaded state. I want to consume the whole context because I want to show a skeleton. And then I rather want to have like a weak skeleton, given that it's in like a loading state, or I want to have an actual weak where I pass down the weak plan when it's an actual loaded state. So, oh, we got really stuck on this. But I want to keep this code here because it's interesting that we can actually do this. We can make it subscription based, and then you can do selectors. But I'm not sure how valuable they are. That's the question. I don't know how valuable it is. It adds more API surface, and it might not be very valuable. But it's good to know that it's actually possible. So let's save that there. And I have to go. I'm actually supposed to be in a meeting now. But anyways, the conclusion here, like we completely diverge, but the conclusion here is that we will do what we originally planned, which is to do this. We'll implement a dashboard feature. We'll use React Memo to deal with reconciliation. And we'll try this pattern of one feature consuming the state of another feature, which feeds the progress of the feature. In this case, our dashboard feature is using the authentication, where it starts it's waiting for the authentication to go through. And when it goes through, it will move into a loading state where it starts loading up all the data with family ID. And if it's not authenticated, it will move into a not authenticated state where we're actually going to show the skeleton with a sign-in model. So to conclude, it would look something like this. Authenticating. We have the skeleton. Here we also have the skeleton. And that means that it will look exactly the same. Yeah, and this wouldn't actually have the dashboard feature. This would be like use dashboard. Sorry about that. Dashboard like this. Pending authentication. Maybe we could just reuse the states. Authenticating, unauthenticated, like that. Okay, so this is how it would actually work. We use a feature to drive the state of another feature. It's kind of just, instead of passing, as we talked about, values between states within a feature, it actually passes the complete state of one feature into another feature, which is interesting. I wonder if that's a good pattern. But this will work, and we'll get the behavior we want. We'll have the skeleton working during authentication, and when it's loading, it's the same, no jank. And when it's unauthenticated, it even has the skeleton running as normal. It just adds a child to it, so it won't jank there either. And then when it's loaded, we are actually ready to start consuming the data. So you would have like groceries, week plan, and you would pass that down here. And we will pass it down as, groceries and groceries, and we will pass it down as an actual properties. So when this loaded state triggers again, because we're just changing the data, like we're not changing the state, we're just changing the data, which means it reconciles again. It hits loaded, it reconciles this, and then we added a grocery, which means that it needs to reconcile week plan again. But since we haven't updated the week plan, nothing will happen here. It will only reconcile this thing. That's what actually happens. Cool. Let's save that. I really have to go. We'll talk more on Monday. Bye for now.